Welcome to Brunswick Now. I'm your host, Jim McCallum. Today we'll meet with volunteers from SHIP, Senior Health Insurance Information Program, who will discuss the open enrollment going on right now for Medicare. Then we'll meet with Sue McCallum and Jeanette Sarens from the Brunswick Arts Council, and they will share information with us regarding the upcoming Charles Dickens Festival in Southport. And finally, we'll meet with Barbara Seraphin of the Brunswick County Homeless Coalition. Stay with us for the next half hour as we bring you Brunswick Now.
Welcome to Brunswick Now, ATMC TV, Channel 3, bringing you the best of Brunswick.
My guests today are three very special volunteers from the Seniors Health Insurance Information Program, which today we'll call SHIP. They are, to my immediate left, Celeste Corpon, Mary Fitzgerald to her left, and Mr. Will Farnham at the other end. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
And thanks for being here. I know you're all very special volunteers, and we and those watching very much appreciate your service. I want to turn to you, Celeste, and ask you to tell us a little bit more about the SHIP program.
Okay, well, SHIP stands for the Seniors Health Insurance Information Program, and it's a consumer division of the Department of Insurance in North Carolina. And it assists people with Medicare, Medicare supplement plans, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Part D, and other long-term care insurance questions that they may have. We assist people also in trying to prevent and recognize and prevent Medicare billing errors and also possible fraud and abuse through our North Carolina Senior Medicare Patrol Program.
So any of the senior citizens can come to see you on these matters?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Mary, I'll turn to you. I've already mentioned that the three of you are very special volunteers. Tell us more about the volunteer program and how you become a volunteer.
Well, it's an excellent program and we all enjoy it thoroughly. If someone is interested, they would call the local office for SHIP in Bolivia and speak to either Jennifer or Renee, who are the coordinators for SHIP here. They will see that they get an application, registration application for a volunteer. I believe that gets processed in Raleigh. So they go through the process and they check your references. And when that's complete and everything is fine, then there is an online certification course that you would take. It's probably about 13 sections, lessons, maybe total 24 hours, but you could go at your own pace.
Good.
So it's easy to do. There's some quizzes at the end of each section, which you would be expected to pass,
Sure.
but we all do. And once that's all done, then you are a volunteer.
Excellent, excellent. Will, how do you become eligible for Medicare? And tell us about Parts A and Part B.
Okay. Basically, you become eligible by turning age 65. You may also become eligible with certain disabilities and or end-stage renal disease. Part A is primarily hospital coverage. It does cover some home health care as well. Part B is outpatient and physician coverage. It also covers additional home health care benefits as well.
Excellent, thank you. Celeste, turning back to you, tell us about the Medicare supplement plan and how that differs from Medicare Advantage or Part C. I know all this is complicated, and I know you can answer that.
We call it the alphabet soup for short with the
Thank
A, B,
you.
and C's.
Right.
The Medicare supplement plan, a lot of people know it as a Medigap plan. And they are offered by private insurance companies that help to pay some of the costs that original Medicare doesn't pay. You do pay a monthly premium for those. They are sold, again, by insurance companies. All of the insurance companies have to offer the same basic benefits, and these plans are labeled A through N. The main difference would be the fact that your premiums will differ. And Medicare supplements only cover one person. So if you and your spouse both want supplemental coverage, you have to get individual policies. And to purchase one, you do have to go directly to the insurance company, but we volunteers at SHIP can help people compare those policies and their costs, as well as what companies offer those policies in North Carolina.
I admire your expertise.
The difference between Medicare Supplement and a Medicare Advantage plan or Part C is that Medicare Supplement plans do not offer and do not pay for any of the basic services of original Medicare. However, Medicare Advantage plans must cover the same types of benefits that original Medicare would. You have to have they offer the Part A, the hospital insurance, and the Part B. Many of them also include a prescription drug coverage, which is Part D, and Mary will talk about that momentarily. They sometimes offer extra coverage like vision or hearing or dental programs. And again, they are sold by insurance companies that have been approved by Medicare to sell those policies.
Thank you. And you're right. I'm going to ask Mary about Part D. Tell us about that.
Part D is Medicare's prescription drug plan for Medicare beneficiaries that are enrolled in Part A and or Part B. It came about, much hoopla, I think, under the Medicare Modernization Act of 2003. So the drug plan became effective in 2006. And it is a plan where you would purchase a drug plan policy from insurance companies that Medicare has approved. There are standalone policies, which means they're strictly there to provide your prescription drug coverage. You do pay a premium for them, and there's some co-insurance. Now, as Celeste mentioned, some other types of health plans, such as Advantage plans, or maybe your employee retirement plan or union plans, military, veterans, a lot of those also have drug coverage under their plan.
We spoke a little bit before the interview today about the donut hole. Is there help, Will, for someone who can't afford the premiums of Medicare or the donut hole?
There is help. Right now, it is being phased out. We're at 47.5% is what the individual is responsible for during the donut hole. That eventually will go to zero. The office also has a program run by Jennifer Sherman in which she will approach the drug companies themselves looking for help in getting either reductions or free medication.
For any of you, when is the open enrollment?
The open enrollment is actually right now. It's open enrollment, or it's called the annual election period, and it runs from October 15th to December 7th. Which started this past Monday.
Good.
So during that time, people are able to make changes in their health care or prescription drug plans, and pretty much that's the main time you can do that, with some exceptions.
But that's pretty consistent among all the providers.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Finally, I want to make sure our viewers know where you are with a phone number. We spoke earlier. I know that you're at the governmental complex, but moving soon to the senior center.
Yes.
You have a phone number for contacting?
Yes, that's if people want to make appointments with us for open enrollment or any other time when they're new to Medicare, they can call the office at 910-253-2198 or 2199.
And they can make an appointment.
And they can make an appointment.
Celeste Corpon, Mary Fitzgerald, and Will Farnham. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you for being very special volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Charles Dickens, you say? Well, if you're like me, you read Charles Dickens novels in high school or college, but not much more. So festivals around the world are celebrating the 200th anniversary of the birth of Charles Dickens, and our very own Brunswick Arts Council is preparing to present the first annual Charles Dickens Festival to occur in Southport November 30th and December 1st. Dr. Elliot Engel is one of the world's foremost authorities on the life of Charles Dickens. We had the opportunity to sit down with him when he spoke on 2 occasions at Brunswick Community College for the students and members of the community. Here's a short clip of our interview with Dr. Elliot Engel. Welcome, Dr. Engel.
Thank you.
As I said in the introduction, Charles Dickens was much more than just one of the great writers of this time. Tell us more.
Well, nobody will ever say he's the greatest writer in the English language. William Shakespeare always beats him that way. But Shakespeare lived so long ago in the 1600s, we really don't know much about his era compared with Dickens. The difference between Dickens and Shakespeare is, though Shakespeare is more highly regarded by English professors, nobody who is a great writer was more popular than Charles Dickens. He wrote for the public. Most of what he wanted to get across in his writing was for people, everyday people, the average person. He was not an intellectual snob in any way, sense, or shape, and as most people know, he had a wonderful social conscience. Most of the books he wrote in order to correct a social evil. Christmas Carol being one of the most famous, but he actually wrote 16 novels during his lifetime. All were very well known in his lifetime. Today we read very, very few. One of the sad things about Dickens is he wrote 16 works, but all but 4 of them are 800 pages long or longer.
But he was enormously popular during his time, was he not?
Oh, he was. There's never been a great writer who's been more popular. There are trash writers who certainly are much more popular, but in terms of somebody you would ever study in school, there'll never be anyone you study in school who reached more people at more social levels, upper middle, lower, and lower class than Dickens. He was a beloved figure. He was not a perfect man in any way, shape, or form. He and his wife had 10 children, and sadly, he left her, shockingly for a younger actress. So the point being that although he was a flawed human being, in terms of a big heart, in terms of wanting to help people of his era, I can't think of any writer who accomplished more social good than Dickens did. And he did not live long. He died at the age of 58. He started writing. He became very popular when he was 25. So 25 to 58 is a good length of time, but nonetheless, it's a 30-year period. And within those 30 years, he made himself the greatest novelist that the world has ever seen.
Wow. Tell us about his hospital.
In 1852, he helped found the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. It was named for the street on which it was built. It is still there today. It is still called the Great Ormond Street Hospital. The reason he did it was, in all of his novels, the central character is either a sick, a mistreated, or a dying child.
Wow.
And because he brought so much attention to sick children in fiction, it just made a natural transition for him to do something in the real world that will help these sick children. The Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital is not only a great children's hospital, it is the first children's hospital on earth. So he found it. It wasn't he and he alone, but his novels brought attention to the fact that children were dying because of lack of good medical care. So he literally put his money where his writing had been and helped open this hospital to prevent needless deaths of children. And of course, he lived during the Victorian period, an age of just terrible, terrible working conditions for children.
So we know he was a great social reformer. We know he was a great writer. Was he? I liken him to a superstar of his day. Was he a man of the people?
Oh, yes. He's the first international superstar. He came over here to America. We had already read his novels. And this is not an exaggeration. When the Beatles came over in the 1960s, they were wildly received, but that was nothing compared to Dickens, because the Beatles got the young girls. Dickens got the young girls, the old girls, men, women, children. His appeal was way broader than any superstar today.
We know that you're here for our first annual Charles Dickens Festival.
I'm very excited about that.
And I know that they occur around the country and around the world. Would you tell us more about the festivals?
Yes. The biggest in the world is in Galveston, Texas. It's every year, and the reason it's the biggest is because Houston is close enough that they can just you can either drive or take the train down there. They have over 125,000 people. Not to say you're not going to get 125,000, but sadly you don't have a Houston, the 4th biggest city in the country nearby.
Right.
But I go down to Galveston and do the fair, and it's like yours in that it's the authenticity of it. They decorate the town. The difference being that Galveston is not nearly as old as North Carolina.
Or Southport.
I was going to say, a city like Southport has the advantage, even though they get 100,000 people, Southport would be a much more typical 19th century Victorian Dickensian town. All you need to do is, put a little tinsel on it. In Galveston, they have to build it pretty much from scratch. So it's an ideal place. The original 13 colonies is a wonderful place to hold any Dickens fair.
Wow, I wish we had more time, Dr. Engel. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure.
I hope our viewers have enjoyed the interview with Dr. Engel. Truly an amazing and very interesting person. I'm directing our attention now to two very special guests. To my immediate left is my wife, Sue, a wonderful person in my life, and my good friend Jeanette Sarens, who's with us also.
Good morning.
Good morning. They're here to talk about the Charles Dickens Festival. Let's tell our viewers a little bit about what the Charles Dickens Festival is, please.
Well, I first want to say that we were delighted to kick off the festival season with Dr. Engel earlier this week, and he spoke at Brunswick Community College, gave an absolutely wonderful dramatization and performance on Dickens that nobody knows, lots of very interesting facts about Dickens. But the festival itself is going to take place in downtown historic Southport, and we are just thrilled with the cooperation and partnership of the town and of the Board of Education and all of the schools that are involved, and over 150 performers and volunteers. Southport is going to be transformed into a Charles Dickens Christmas village. We have guest artists coming from Los Angeles, Tony Palermo, and it's very family-friendly, interactive on sound effects for Scrooge and other Christmas things. And David Zumbrennan, who's coming from Raleigh, North Carolina, and is a world-renowned Dickens impersonator. There'll be two wonderful events that he's doing there. The entire festival is very family-friendly. We have puppeteers and storytellers, all about the Victorian themes of Dickens' times. We have Christmas tree contest, gingerbread house contest, costume contest, art contest involving the public school children, students, and we have carolers strolling, Dickens impersonators on the streets and indoors, Mr. Fezziwig's Christmas Ball, and it's just 2 days full of boutique shopping and scrumptious food with the local merchants and outside vendors. It just promises to be a charming and fascinating evening, very family-friendly.
Wow, you've painted a beautiful picture, thank you. I want to talk a little bit more about the festival. I want our viewers to know that it is November 30th, December 1st, which is a Friday and a Saturday. We'll try to say that a couple of times to remind them.
Right.
But Jeanette, tell us more about the festival and your involvement.
Well, my involvement is working and supporting a wonderful chairperson as Sue and a co-chair, Meg Dillinger. But my job as the liaison from the Brunswick Arts Council is to help provide the financial support to make this happen, gain sponsorships, help in any areas of contracts and liability that might need to be handled. But mainly my job is just, I'm so excited. I go out into the arena of sponsorship and talking to people about volunteering and gathering them around, and I cannot help but talk about Dickens and what we're doing at the festival. The excitement is just bubbling out because it's such a joyous time. You know, Charles Dickens was born 200 years ago, and this is the celebration, and we chose Christmas time. Because what better time to do that, because he is so well known for A Christmas Carol. And what better time to have a holiday season that starts off with a kickoff of a festival where family, children, community at large, all of the residents of Brunswick County and even those outside of our county can come, walk around and feel that they're joyous and happy and see all of the smells and the sounds of Christmas music and just friendliness. And
It's an exciting moment. It
right.
really is.
Costumes
Might I
and so
add?
forth.
Let's say
Yes.
again, November 30th and December
November
1st,
30th.
please.
Rain or shine, we are in,
Right.
all the performances are indoors, and we are also collecting food for Brunswick Family Assistance, for the Homeless Coalition, and for the Literacy Council. So people bring your canned goods, old books, and items of personal hygiene and warmth for our homeless in Brunswick County.
And the time we need to tell everyone, Jim,
Please do.
is 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. I mean,
On
9 p.m.
9 on
Both
each of those
days.
2 days.
Yes, both days, Friday and Saturday.
Tell us about tickets for the festival.
Yes, thank you. The ticket price for adults is $10. The price for children 7 to 12 years of age is $5. Children 6 and under are free. Now, those are tickets that get you into all of the inside events and venues that are going on. But there's wonderful activity that we encourage all people to come to downtown Southport so they can just stroll around listening to the carolers, seeing the different improvisational actors on the street, seeing what the storefronts have done to decorate and make downtown Southport very, very Victorian, and dress in costume.
To my lovely wife, Sue McCallum, and my good friend, Jeanette Sarens, thank you for being with us today and telling us about the Charles Dickens Festival. My guest is Barbara Seraphin. Barbara is president of the Brunswick County Homeless Coalition. Barbara, thank you for being with us here
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks. Tell us when and where the coalition began.
Last November 2011, we heard a person talk about social justice, and we asked ourselves, what are we doing in social justice? And there were about a handful of us that heard the program, and this program was at St. Brendan's Church, and we decided that we'd be interested in looking at what is homelessness in Brunswick County all about. And from that, we invited other groups to join us. We announced that we wanted to develop a committee of not only concerned citizens, but nonprofit organizations, faith-based ministries, and that's exactly what we did. So we had our beginnings November 11th, and today we're about 30 core group members that are interested in the situations in our county regarding to homelessness.
And we're going to talk about those conditions in just a moment, but first let's talk a little bit about your mission, the mission of Brunswick County Homeless Coalition.
Probably about 3 or 4 months after we were in operation, we decided that we were ready to focus on what our mission and vision was. Basically, our mission is twofold. We want to educate not only ourselves, but also the community about homelessness. And secondly, once we knew more and understood more, we wanted to advocate for what we felt we could do to help them in their trajectory and what was going on in their journey while they were homeless.
Education is a continuing effort. Let's talk for a minute about the face of the homeless person, because any of us might have a singular image of that person when in fact it's a very diverse image.
Any one of us could someday be the face of a homeless person.
Absolutely.
And what we have found is not only individuals, we've also found mothers, fathers, and children who are facing homelessness. So I think that when you look at the economy, you look at loss of jobs, you look at not having enough money because of a chronic or a serious illness, it can touch just about any one of us at any time in our lives.
And that's a touching story for all of us, because any of us could find ourselves there. You had a program back in May.
We did, and that was our first effort to really educate the community. We brought in several speakers who talked to us about homelessness. One of them was Steve Spain from the Interfaith program in Wilmington. Mm-hmm. Another was Dan Farrell, who is with United Way, and also we became acquainted with the program of mentoring those who are homeless. We also had Mr. James Fish from Senior Brunswick Resources, and he told us about what they were doing and how we could work and partner with him. And finally, we had Commissioner Marty Cook, and we wanted a government official involved, and also tried to educate all of them about who we were as they educated us about what they knew regarding homelessness.
Thank you. In a moment, I'll ask you about your November program, but essentially, you're less than a year old.
That's right.
And you've accomplished such a great deal. Let's make clear to our viewers that there is not a homeless facility here in Brunswick County, but that doesn't alter your mission and your goals. Speak about that.
There
if you
is
would.
no permanent shelter in Brunswick County. What we have is Street Reach under the direction of Donna and Gary Phelps. What they have done is they've worked with churches, and we have 6 or 7 churches now that are participating in housing and sheltering the homeless. But right now they're focusing primarily on the coldest months of the year, which would be November, December, January, and February. We don't really have a shelter for all year round. Some of our residents do go to Myrtle Beach, or they might go to Wilmington if they need shelter at other times.
Let's talk about hunger, because hunger is directly related to homelessness.
Yes, yes. Well, and I think the program that you mentioned that we're going to do November 10th, it's a national program that states that Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. That's the national program that's going around the whole nation, because what they did was they say that hunger and homelessness can join together and complement each other. But thank goodness for all the food pantries we have. And I mean, they've served thousands and thousands of people every year with food. So at least they have the food, and they can get some means of maintaining their nourishment and so forth. But
My notes indicate November 10th.
Yes.
At Seaside United Methodist Church.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
we named it the Hunger and Homelessness Banquet. And we decided not to have it too long because we know people are very busy. So we're going with the program from 11:30 a.m. till 2 o'clock. And in that program, we're going to serve a hunger homeless meal, which is going to be soup. And so you can come and have a cup of soup, and you can listen to several speakers. We're going to have Fran Pelletier, who's the religion columnist for the Brunswick Beacon, talk. We have also Joyce Beatty, who is with, she's the executive director of support services for school children in Brunswick County. We also have Donna Phelps, who's going to tell us more about the night shelters and what's going on and what we're looking at possibly becoming involved in. And also Bren Tyndall, who is a wonderful singer and songwriter, to spend some time of reflection with us to think about the homeless. In addition, there will be displays, and we hope to have our partners, who we partner with many, many groups, to come and display information about their resources and what they can offer, and where the homeless can go if they need assistance and they can need help.
Excellent. Brunswick County is a county of volunteers, and
really
I know
is.
you want volunteers and supporters, and for those that are interested, let's make sure our viewers know when and where you meet, and if you have a website, that also.
Sure. We meet monthly, usually the third Tuesday of the month, but we would suggest that they check Facebook and our website, because sometimes we may alter our dates depending on what's going on. But right now it's the third Tuesday of the month, and we meet from 6 to 8 o'clock in the evening.
And the location?
St. Brendan's Church.
Thank you.
We are a community forum, but St. Brendan's has always opened their doors to us for our meetings and so forth. So I just want you to know that it is a community forum, a community group in Brunswick County, but we meet there because they've been kind enough to give us a place to meet.
Barbara Seraphin, you and others among you are very special people, and we appreciate what you've done. We thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us this month on Brunswick Now. I hope you've enjoyed today's program, and if you'd like more information about what you've seen on today's show, feel free to give us a call at 910-755-1770. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next month for Brunswick Now on ATMC TV.
From all of us at ATMC, the very best wishes to you this holiday season.